Good morning. Henry Yankowski, County Administrator. I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Bob Dwyer from the Carbon Monoxide Safety Association. Bob brings us 4 decades of experience in the classroom. He is the Director of Training for the Carbon Monoxide Safety Association. He's has a rich history, 15 years with the Department of Energy, chaired combustion safety training in Montana, and he's also the co-author of Carbon Monoxide, A Clear and Present Danger, and he has a short little demonstration for us and a little talk on carbon monoxide safety today.
Bob Dwyer, Kalispell, Montana. Good to see you all again. Some of you might remember the last little program we put on. I've got dual purpose here today. I also want to bring up Don Piano here from the Pikes Peak Mechanical Contractors Association. He's also the Director of Training for COSA, Carbon Monoxide Safety Association for Colorado. But I'm here, most importantly, to present an award to Pikes Peak Regional Building Department. This is a national award. It's a Community Guardian Award for carbon monoxide safety. There's one other one being given this year to another jurisdiction in Kansas, Johnson County, Kansas. This is an incredible commendation recognizing the commitment to carbon monoxide safety practices that impact employees and citizens of El Paso County and the state of Colorado. You are an outstanding example for building officials everywhere. This will be awarded, also announced in a national convention conference, educators conference in Las Vegas coming up March 21st through 23rd as well. So Dennis, I believe you're the Vice Chair of Regional Building. Can I present this to you? Sure. And we have the other folks here from Regional Building, Jack Arrington, Roger Lovell, the building official, the Chief Mechanical and Plumbing Inspector. Did I get that right? Okay. Dennis, on behalf of the Carbon Monoxide Safety Association, and I'm going to speak for the citizens of El Paso County. This is behind the scenes. They don't know what's going on in reference to the dedication to carbon monoxide safety that your building department has presented. The fact that people are carrying, your inspectors are carrying personal monitors on every inspection, promoting low-level detection. There are more and more people in the area that have low-level carbon monoxide detectors than ever before. The demonstration that I'm going to do is going to help prove that point, that you may be in carbon monoxide and not know it because the alarm that you have is ineffective for those lower levels that could compound health effects. Your inspectors and the drive that you're doing and working with the Pikes Peak Mechanical Contractors Association, I just can't say enough. It's an incredible role model coming from myself, who's been traveling around North America for over 20 years. Thank you very much.
And the real thanks goes to our building officials. This was just another case where I was in a position where I could say, yeah, that's a great idea. I think you ought to do that. So thank you to the building officials and to our mechanical contractors for their involvement. They've done a great job for the citizens here in El Paso County.
And I'm sorry to interrupt him, but also to this commission who also put these detectors on health department inspectors as well.
There are some great stories out there of just because they have the low-level detectors on their belt, they're not there inspecting for CO type issues, but when the detector goes off, they know they have a problem, and I am convinced lives have been saved because of that. So, thank you all.
Commissioner Clark.
Well, I just wanted to point out that these carbon monoxide detectors save lives. Recently, I'd heard about a case where a lady was having symptoms that were very similar to MS, and with an inspection, folks came in and realized that the carbon monoxide levels were so high that they were giving her those symptoms. And it was a bad furnace. It probably was a heat exchanger. I've had cracked heat exchanger in my house at one point, long time ago, but the fact that these do save lives. And once they fixed the furnace, then basically the symptoms went away and she got back to her life. But she didn't realize that was just slowly hurting her body and killing her, essentially. So it's really important. It's not just about fire, because we look at fire detection as being important, and those smoke alarms are important, but the carbon monoxide issue is really a silent and relatively unknown killer of people. So I really appreciate you giving us this award. I know the folks in Johnson County, Kansas, and they do a fine job in many relations, but we're glad to join them in getting this award throughout the country. It means a lot to us, so thank you very much. And thanks, Commissioner Heisey, for your longstanding work on the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department board. That is really important that we have that representation there, so thank you.
What I have here in this plastic bag that I'll show everybody, these are carbon monoxide alarms that you buy from a hardware store. They're listed under the UL 2034 standard for carbon monoxide alarms, which means there's 28 states in the United States that have some sort of alarm laws. Colorado's one of them. Some states dictate that they have to be UL 2034 alarms, but these are high-level alarms. You may be in a concentration of carbon monoxide that these will not pick up or alert you to, and yet they could increase heart stresses, breathing problems, problems with dementia, depression, symptoms like MS, commonly misdiagnosed. What we'll do here is, I'll just put this on our, yep. Yeah, that's what we want. And what we've got here is a 3 UL 2034 listed alarms. These are high-level alarms. They don't go off till they hit 70 parts per million. Sorry, till they hit 70 parts per million. It has to be above 70 for an hour. Now, you've got fire departments around the country that are putting breathing apparatus on at 35 parts per million upon discovery. So you have an alarm in your house that you think is protecting you from levels. It may not be protecting you from levels that can cause symptoms. You just need to know that. I also have a device here. This is made another personal monitor. This is a product that the building officials here, the building inspectors, are using now. They were also using, we have several hundred of these out there right now. This is not happening anywhere else in the country where you've got mechanics and inspectors wearing these kind of devices on every job. I'm going to put all these inside this plastic bag. This little white one here that looks like a computer mouse, okay? That one there, that's a low-level detector. I have here some carbon monoxide gas. 100 parts per million of carbon monoxide. And we're going to fill this bag up with carbon monoxide gas. You're concerned about how much carbon monoxide 100 parts per million is? Well, there you go. We've got one that's already going off. There's another personal monitor going off. So as an inspector's walking into a house, they already know that there's an issue. Now they can, if they need to call the fire department or an ambulance, they're going to be able to do that. This is remarkable. So we also have a digital display showing up on this low-level detector. It just let us know. These other ones here that you can commonly buy, the ones that are the UL 2034s, where about 98% of homes that do have them will have these type. They're not allowed to display unless it's over 30 parts per million. They're not allowed to alarm unless it's over 70 for an hour and has up to 4 hours to sound off. You have a lot of people going inexpensive, and they're buying these non-digital display units. They're pretty much asking you to have a headache and try to explain where it's coming from. They don't give you enough information. I can tell you stories for the rest of the day about illnesses and sickness. What you're doing here, I would continue to support. You're going to save more lives and prevent injuries. And they're not going to make the newspaper. Sorry.
Commissioners, Don Piano with the Pikes Peak Mechanical Contractors Association. I'm a board member and I'm the training director. And I'd like to thank, on behalf of our organization, you all and Pikes Peak Regional Building Department for empowering our organization to provide specific training on carbon monoxide for our licensed heating mechanics in El Paso County. We have made what I call the Navy SEALs out of heating technicians here. We fly Mr. Dwyer in to do this training. Through your generosity and support, we've put personal monitors on over 120 heating mechanics out of 638. We just received approval for funding for 50 more of those this year. And for our residents and our citizens of El Paso County and surrounding areas, when you get one of our graduates coming in to look at your home for CO, carbon monoxide, we have the best going. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very thankful, and on behalf of our board and our members, we'd like to thank you as well.
So for the average person who's listening to this, that includes myself here, what do we need to look for in terms of installing these kinds of devices? What are and I'm not saying that one company over another, but basically, what do you need to look for as the layman who's doing that? It's not, how often should you have, actually, I guess, if you consider you might have a stove too, and a gas stove or other devices, other pieces of equipment in your home that might need inspecting too. Can you give me some advice on that?
At minimum, once a year on your furnace, and it's not just an inspection, it has to be tested. You can't look at a furnace without testing to see if it's producing carbon monoxide. You have to see if it is producing it. And then you have to discover the reasons, and that's where the licensed mechanics have the base knowledge to understand that. They just have to test for it. They're not always testing for it. They have a lot of clean and check programs where there's not a lot of testing that's occurring. So it should occur once a year. If you have a low-level detector, like this one here, then you have as good a device as the building inspectors do, the building officials have. If you have one of these, you don't. Difference between going to McDonald's or Ruth Chris Steakhouse. There's a big difference. If your life is worth $15 or your family's worth $15, that's how you protect them. Low-level detection, they're not easy to find. If you're going to find them on the internet, they're going to cost you about $220. The local HVAC community can purchase these for $120. The manufacturer does not design these to sell directly to the public because you need training. Because people, when these high-level ones go off, they're pulling the batteries and thinking that there's something wrong with the unit. When a low-level one goes off, it's telling you, you have carbon monoxide in your house, do something about it. What did you just do? Well, I let my car warm up in the garage. Well, I only did it for 5 minutes. That's enough to get carbon monoxide in your house.
And so where do you place them? Where's the best place to put one of the carbon monoxide detectors?
Best place to put them is where people are. So they say sleeping rooms by law within 15 feet. I'm not sure. Jack, you've got what's the code here?
The code is actually to have one on each level with bedrooms. There is a state law in Colorado that requires them within 15 feet of those bedrooms. So that's what we look for when we're in the house doing our inspections. And we require CO alarms on every inspection that we do inside a home.
I asked a group of firefighters in Illinois, and the 2 state legislators in Illinois were in the audience that put the bill forward that got passed for carbon monoxide detection of UL 2034 alarms in Illinois. And they said their law is 15 feet of all sleeping areas or all bedrooms. And it clearly says bedrooms. And I know Illinois, I know Chicago. And I said, how many of you in the audience have basements with family rooms? And they all raised their hand. I said, how many of you have fallen asleep in front of the TV in the basement? And, you know, so they look at each other, and it's what we don't know. We take cliches of work that's gone on for 20 years, 30 years on carbon monoxide safety, and if it sounds good, we'll use it, but it may not be the best effective way. Low-level detection is the only way. It's the best education you're going to get. You're going to know when it's starting. You're going to know that, hey, we just lit our gas fireplace or our wood stove and our CO detector went off. We should do something about it and not ignore it. It's very serious, as you have stated, and I usually have to get hooked off, so I could keep talking. Anybody have any more questions?
Lesson, thank you.
Appreciate it. I mean, this is incredibly important information, and there are stories out there that people don't realize. You give the best presentations. You do. You make people uncomfortable about this issue, which is
Yeah.
exactly what you're trying to do.
But you
and
know what?
That's important.
It is solvable, right here. You can carry these in your pocket, in your purse. You can. I gave one to my daughter when she went to college. She called me up. It went off. She was was doing her clinical. She was to be an RN. She's in a hospital in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and no cell phones were allowed. And they walked down to the emergency room, and her alarm went off because they just brought a patient in, and her alarm went off under her smock, and the preceptor said, "Lizzie, no cell phone." She says, "It's my carbon monoxide detector. The ambulance is keeping the eye door open as they're bringing in the patient, and carbon monoxide's filling the emergency room. I'd be moving that car. Get that ambulance out of here."
Nicely done.
That's really what it takes, is diligence and measurement, and do something about it. 2 EMTs walked into a Dunkin' Donuts. Sounds like a joke, right? They did. Their alarms went off and they evacuated the building. I mean, there's nothing easier than measurement.
Jack Arrington, Regional Building Department. I'm the one who got started in getting the detectors on all the inspectors, and they were set with rules. When they go into a home, if they get a reading on their carbon monoxide detector, the first thing they do is step back outside, let it zero out, come back in and make sure they get it a second time. Once they have that second time, depending on what reading they get is what protocol we take. If it's up to, it takes up to 35 to get it to go off. So we don't see anything below 35 parts per million other than a reading on our detector. If it goes off at that 35, we then give them one of these orange cards, which we're showing up here, that basically tells them to read this card. It talks about carbon monoxide is a dangerous gas. There are several common sources of CO in the homes, including smoking, incense sticks, lit candles, fireplaces, gas range or oven, standing pilot lights, space heaters. From the garage, it could be any combustion engine, automobile, snow blower, lawnmower, kerosene space heater, charcoal cooking equipment, anything that burns fuel. So that's what we've told the inspectors. At that point, with talking to the fire departments in the local area, all over El Paso County, and to our utilities people all over El Paso County, we were asked to put a number, at the, or not a number, but a deal at the bottom of this card to say, call your utility company, because they have the equipment then to come in and actually make the tests what's there. So it's up to the customer at that point. If we hit 200 parts per million when we go into that house, and actually we've lowered that, we hit 80 parts per million on a house a while back, and I believe it's the house that Mrs. Clark was talking about a while ago with the lady that she was in a walker and on oxygen when we got there the first time. We got utilities out there. They found the issue. About 4 weeks later, we was back out. She was out of the walker, off the oxygen, said ever since her furnace got changed, she was feeling better. Those are the protocols. The guys are pretty good about not scaring somebody. That's not our intent. Our original intent with the CO detectors when Henry and everybody got us into this was to protect the inspectors themselves, because we go into a lot of buildings that are closed up and they're running unvented heaters in them to keep warm during the winter. So it was actually a protection thing for the inspectors. It wasn't originally meant for what it's turned into. But myself, I'm very proud of where it's went. I think we do a great job with them, but yes, we go through some training of how to handle those calls so we don't scare anybody.
Okay. Anybody else?
There are some consumer brochures up on the table up there that we've left, that Don has left from previous programs that Regional Building has sponsored when I've come in
Very good.
for the public.
Thank you.